report. You decide now to confirm your suspicions of just how pork-laden this misnamed stimulus plan is. We turn to Kristina Rasmussen. Wait a minute, another Rasmussen? Are you the long-lost daughter of Scott Rasmussen, or is that just coincidence?
No relation.
All right. Well, it is. There he is. Scott is scratching his head right now, wondering where he's seen you before. I will leave that up to you two. But Kristina, as I mentioned to Scott, I didn't get very far in this. I'm only up to 179. And I have said, I know you've got your egregious examples, but I want to start just with one thing right at the top here on page, I don't know what this is, page 20. There's this board, this transparency board that they have to have. Not only do you have to spend money, but you have to spend money on bureaucrats to watch how you spend money. And this transparency board, as it turns out, comes to a price tag of $14 million. They have to have a $14 million board of people just to watch over some of this. And there is another board on top of that board to watch out what the smaller board is doing. I mean, this thing is nuts. It's crazy.
These must make up the 600,000 new government jobs that President Obama has promised.
All right, here's another one. On page, what is this? Page 77. I'm going to work my way up here. Broadband deployment grant, $2.825 billion. This is a broadband deployment grant. It's supposed to help people figure out exactly how the broadband is going to be implemented. It's for education about the broadband implementation. I mean, you know, you also have the same kind of thing with digital, forgive me, but on page 85, you have the same thing for digital to analog, $650 million digital to analog for education, consumer support, and outreach. You want to outreach to people to get them to go to digital from cable. Then you have a toss to the unions on page 166. $80 million for the enforcement of worker protection laws and regulations. I guess this is a toss to his old buddies of the community organizers to get more unionization out there. That's $80 million. And then, of course, you have the humdinger of them all. You have on page 186, here it is, not less than $335 million shall be used as additional amount to carry out domestic HIV, AIDS, viral hepatitis, sexually transmitted disease. I guess it's for needles and condoms. That buys a lot of needles and condoms, doesn't it?
There's $400 million in this bill for the prevention of the spread of sexually transmitted diseases. Now, if you're a manufacturer or a distributor of prophylactics, this bill is good news for your business. But if you're just an ordinary business across America, this bill really isn't going to have the long-term boom that we're looking for.
Now, you know, again, it's supposed to be job creation. That's what this is supposed to be about. There are infrastructure projects in here. I don't want to mislead. There are some real projects in here involving real money. But anybody who is even there, anybody who has seen a local government or a state government or a federal government project knows that these things work at a snail's pace compared to what happens in the private sector, right?
Well, they do, and we've taken a very close look at the projects suggested by the U.S. U.S. Conference of Mayors. And I kid you not, they requested money for shovel-ready projects like golf courses, zoo sewers,
hold on.
sidewalks.
Golf courses?
I kid you not.
Golf courses?
Zoo sewers, like the drainage pits for the animal cages. We saw requests for doorbells and sidewalks and catwalks. It's ridiculous.
Wait a minute, catwalks for models or
Los Angeles Convention Center wanted a catwalk. We don't know exactly what the money would go towards. Maybe it's so tourists construct their stuff and feel like they're big in Hollywood and California. But they're asking for taxpayer dollars for these programs.
Why not pole dancing? I mean, you know, if you're going to have catwalks, I mean, who knows? I mean, you know, it's building up I mean, where is the job stuff in here? What percent would you say of these 679 pages actually have to do with job creation?
Unfortunately, it's not as much as it should be. On the House side, only $30 billion went towards highways. That's less than 5% of the total cost of the bill. We are being told this is an infrastructure bill. It's not. When you see the $40 million going to STD prevention, there's $9 billion for a federal building fund, even more money for smoking prevention, and wanting to redo the headquarters of government agencies. These are not jobs growth programs. These are paying off your political supporters.
All right. Kristina, stay with us if you can. We want to bring in our panel. Toby Smith, who, of course, is a huge supporter of this plan from Change Wave.
Give me a barf bag. That's all I want.
Here. Also, John Rutledge of Rutledge Capital. You know, the point is, even if this was about infrastructure, remember when Donald Trump built that ice skating rink in Central Park. The city spent about 5 years, was millions of dollars over budget. Donald Trump said, give it to me, I'll do it at cost. Right. He did it in about 6 months. He completed the project way under budget. That's a local government. Imagine the waste in a federal government project.
Well, I guess in the juxtaposition of only about 10 or 11 days ago, we had millions of people excited about sort of the possibilities of America, felt like they've been inspired. And this thing just does nothing but to just gut them. To me, it just takes whatever goodness and nostalgia we got for the old days, and it just kills it. I mean, you know, David, you've seen me sort of get tangentially angrier and angrier here. But literally, this is, there's a pool, and it has a deep end and a shallow end. Now, if you take the water out of the deep end and you put it in the shallow end, is that stimulus?
That's right.
All right.
Well, it's digging a ditch and filling it up.
And if this really was supposed to work, then why wouldn't we do this? Why don't we go out and break every window in the United States and then rebuild them?
Well, of course, John loves it because he has money in a condom factory, right?
Well, I do, but it's a small investment.
He's serious.
He beat me.
Whoa.
Absolutely private. But I'll tell you one thing. When you're talking about that portion of the stimulus bill, you got to keep your needles and your condoms in different drawers.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that
Can we end this metaphor now?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
But the snouts are all in the trough over this thing. The problem is all of the people that were once spokesmen for the market, the CEOs of the companies, they're all in this thing deep now. They want the money.
Kristina, you're right there. You see all of these lobbyists inside the Beltway. Some of them claim to be free marketeers, but they are sniffing at the trough, aren't they?
Absolutely. Washington is buzzing right now with lobbyists. I have friends who work at firms, and they say that they're busier than ever, even though the economy is down. And that's because they've been hired to lobby for earmarks and various pork in this stimulus bill. I'm busy working for the National Taxpayers Union to try to stop them.
Over $3 billion, by the way, has been spent on lobbying in the past year, more than ever before.
Right.
John, you were in the Reagan administration. You saw some of those lobbyists. How much did they play a part in actually writing this stuff?
That's where bills get written. Staffers don't have time to write bills. They get their buddies in the lobby firms to do it, and then tell the boss how to vote on it, and the boss shows up and does yay or nay. These guys never read these bills. I'll guarantee you there's no member of Congress that has read that pile of paper.
Well, the other thing that gets me here is just, okay, deep breath. Now, we have spent about $1 trillion in the last 12 months in deficit spending.
Right.
Where's it gotten us? Where is the stimulus from that? We've already spent $1 trillion. If you do the same thing twice and expect a different outcome, then that's insanity. And that's what we're talking about.
And you're a man enough to admit that you were wrong.
I was about the TARP the way it was originally described for a very specific purpose. When the mission creep got off the rail,
John and I knew where it was going. That it would end up.
If I was as old as you guys, I would be as smart as you are.
Okay.
That's why Toby's in the middle.
We got to break, but before we do go to break, we want to check in with Fox Business reporter Peter Barnes. He's in Washington. We got some breaking news.